I thought music was cool, and especially when I started to see that I was actually had some talent.
What was that point when you started to realize you had that talent?
My friends would make fun of me.
Really?
Like straight up. I remember my one friend, Daryl, he was like, I want to hate on you and I want to make fun of you, but I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, I think you actually have something.
Because kind of like how we kind of talked about a little bit, the beefs, like, I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. St. Louis is very cliquey. Like, people can blow up, but people not gonna really give out. It's just like they leave and you fend for yourself.
Our city can make it difficult.
Yes.
When these people are trying to get out of here. Once they make it, they're like, I'm here.
Exactly.
Forget all you guys.
Yeah.
I would be looking at everybody like, wait, so you're trying to help me for what?
Him in Future. Him in Nas.
He went against the whole music business and all the powerful players in the music business. So when I saw that kind of integrity from her, it made me be like, you know what? I got you. So she coming, hey, like Dion said, hey, we coming. So
oh yeah, we coming.
Yep, get y'all popcorn.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Going With The Flow podcast. We got a very special guest with us today. We have a very well-known pioneer in the music industry in the St. Louis area. His name is Ashley Booker. He came to just kind of sit with us, talk to us, and hang out. What's really funny, though, is that we set this up, been talking back and forth, met up with him a couple days ago. We ended up just hanging out.
I know.
Like, what, three, 4 hours it felt like?
Good times. It was natural, man.
Natural. And it was just one of those things that, like, just that cool conversation that, like, we didn't even expect that to happen.
Right.
We were just hanging out, laughing, and it just shows you, like, how small St. Louis is, the people that we were connecting with, and things that it was just vibes. It was a really good vibe.
I agree. It was definitely a pleasure having you guys out. And for me, it was like, all right, let me see what's up. You know, obviously we reached out. Obviously, you guys, I did a podcast with the artist of mine, Faith Miller.
Yeah.
And
shout out to Faith.
Yeah, shout out to Faith. Shout out to Faith. You know, obviously she told me you guys are cool guys. And so, you know, it was kind of wanting to kind of see what was up.
Heck yeah. So to kind of, for starters, like, just for everybody to know, what kind of started you in the music game to kind of make sure you wanted to do this?
Well, you know, music was one of those things for me, man, where I guess my whole life, my parents, everybody, you know, rich musical background, like, as far as like having it around me. Now, were they musicians? No. But having it around, always music on.
Exactly.
You know, it was every very music centric household, you know? So my father actually got me into lessons, guitar lessons, drum lessons. It got to a point where my room started like a soundstage. You know, but then, you know, I'm an ex-athlete, so my athletic career started to pick up as like a preteen and going into high school to where, you know, my sound stage started to kind of develop dust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Kind of pushed to the side.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I always loved music. I was always like one of those guys like where, you know, I feel like I had an ear for like the things that were going on at the time, but yet and still, you know, to be realistic, I didn't really think of it. Oh, I could be in the music business. Right. I thought that was just, this is music. This is great. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Like, you just love it, but
I love it, but I'm like, how? You know, I'm from St. Louis. Like, how? You know?
No, especially at that time.
At that time, guys. At that time, this is right before the Nelly boom. So as a kid, you know,
takeover.
and so. With that being said, it was just like one of those things where I didn't really see a clear path forward. I always loved it, you know. And then with the emergence of the Nellies and the definitely the pioneers here, the Nellies, the Chingies, the Quans, the production teams here, the Track Stars, Track Boys, it actually showed me it was real.
Exactly.
J.E., you know, all those guys.
Yeah, because especially like in that time, because I believe you said you went to KU, right?
I did, yes.
It's just crazy when you even think about like that boom, and this is kind of going back to our conversation earlier, where that early 2000s, especially like Nelly was almost Drake before Drake even
100%.
Knew that he could even
100%
spit on the mic. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Crazy,
100%.
Like that mind, that vibe, like Chingy, the St. Lunatics, Jaquan, like everybody just didn't realize what we were doing was something special. How can you kind of touch on like the rise of it and kind of like that downfall where it kind of like went away?
Well, you know, to be completely honest, the rise of it it was even before me, you know, the actual rise of it. Because these guys, they were, even before you see like a Nelly or you see a Chingy and these guys, or even a Jaquan, these guys are already hot in the area.
Heck yeah.
You know what I mean? So they were already doing it at a high level. It just wasn't like a popular thing to do back then, you know? Because like I said, a lot of people shared the same mindset as myself, where it was like, okay, rap, but I'm here.
Exactly.
How?
I'm doing
you know
my
thing. Right? So it was only a few people who actually really took it serious. And that was a group of people who did take it serious in the area. So I think that when I guess when I look back at how it kind of all came together, I didn't know. I actually I got in when it already got off.
Exactly.
You know, that's what kind of drew me back to St. Louis. So they had already became who they were, you know, and I got into that mix and into that wave then. So
were you kind of just staying in like that Kansas area just for a little bit?
Yeah. I was in Lawrence still, and you know, I had a choice. At the time, I was finishing up. It was like my 5th year. I actually quit football my senior season.
Really?
It just, you know, new coaching change. They just told me I was never going to play. So
the business side of it.
Yeah. So then it gave me an opportunity, you know, as weird as it sounds, to actually enjoy school for the first time ever. I feel like, you know, I'm glad these guys got NIL deals right now, by the way, because I just feel like people don't know how much of that of your life gets taken by sports if you are a student athlete, you know? And so it actually allowed me to kind of delve back into I'm like, well, I love music. St. Louis is starting to boom. I'm like, I can't rap. I can't sing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could probably be a music producer.
Heck yeah.
Now, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but it started to lead me from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. Now, I started to actually take it serious, started getting equipment, found out there was a music lab at KU, which I've been there. KU's like a little mini city, by the way.
Exactly. Lawrence.
But, right, Lawrence, right. So I never knew there was like a music building with like equipment that we could use just by being a student.
Right.
Started going there, got involved with college radio. Just anything I thought that was like kind of put me closer. Started working with a lot of cool acts like through that area. Like shout out to Strange Music. They let me early on work with them. Like the guys like Tech Nine and all those guys. You know, some guys in Topeka and all my Kansas guys and Kansas City guys. It's much love. That's where it started. But when I saw what Nelly was doing, I gotta go home.
I don't blame you. I mean,
I gotta go home.
Did that.
Yeah.
What's crazy even with that though is like you really see how you can really identify yourself so much, especially as an athlete, where like I've noticed a lot of guys struggle where they're like, I don't know what to do when the sport's done, or like I don't know where to go. So it's really nice to see that like you didn't have that mindset. You looked at it as like, I don't have time to dwell on that mindset, that you continue to kind of figure out what do I want to do? What can be good for me? What is the next step? Because that kind of takes away these identifications where a lot of guys do struggle with that.
Oh, big time, man, because it takes up so much of your life. And then when you know, obviously if you do have the opportunity to play at higher levels, it probably consumed more than just your college life, probably consumes your high school life, your middle school life. Forever. So then therefore to actually delve out of that and find your identity, it can be tough. And honestly, it was tough for me. It wasn't, you know, I thought music was cool, and especially when I started to see that I was actually had some talent.
Oh yeah. What was that point when you started to realize you had that talent?
My friends would make fun of me.
Really?
Like straight up. Like I was like this, you know, it was so funny because I was like, no, I'm having making beats, and everybody's like, I get that. Because you know all my partners is, you know, come on, man. And so they like, man, play me something. So I'm playing them stuff, and I remember my one friend, Daryl, he was like, I want to hate on you and I want to make fun of you, but I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, I think you actually have something.
Right.
And I was like, damn. I'm like, for real? So then I got more and more confidence. So I playing like for guys who would love to flame me, bro, if they had the opportunity to.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They would love to. And it was like, everybody's like, nah, dog, you hard.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah. So then that's where it started. I'm like, damn, I'm good. Then I started playing for people who actually were doing music. They were, oh yeah, give me that. Let me do that.
Man, that's crazy.
You know?
Yeah. And it's crazy, like how your friends just having faith in you can take you just even that long way.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Because if you got your boys to back you, like, like almost sky's the limit. That like no one can really hate you. No one can really make you lose your confidence at the end of the day.
I agree. I think that, whoever your inner circle may be, like, it's so vital to whenever you're trying to get anything off the ground. Because of this, it's like this. Obviously, we know that you have to believe in yourself first.
Yeah.
That's the first starting point. You have to believe in to even put yourself in position, even for myself to even be able to put myself in a position to play a person to beat. 100%. I had to believe first that I could make a beat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it starts there, but then obviously you're still kind of shaky about it. You're like, the people are gonna, especially with art. Art is so subjective, by the way. And if anybody tells you they got the answers, they're lying. Like just because art is so subjective. I mean, and it's something I learned even later in my career, but in the beginning, it's like first you just want people to like your stuff. But then you have to realize that even some of the stuff, maybe like I play it for you may not like it, but then maybe I play it for my partner out here. And he'd be like, man, it's fire. So I started kind of seeing like, oh, okay, just create.
Exactly.
Don't even worry about it. Yep, just be you. Yep.
So kind of transitioning, like you left Kansas,
correct.
You moved to St. Louis, moved back to St. Louis, am I correct?
I did.
Kind of was like, you want to do this music thing. Tell us about that startup of like trying to do music, like, and kind of explain what St. Louis was like in that environment. Because you got Chingy blowing up, Nelly blowing up, Jaquan and Tipsy doing numbers. Correct. Like, what is that like? Where is everybody trying to rap? Everybody trying to get in the music game? Like,
it started definitely an uptick.
Yeah.
But back then, because of I would say technology and just there was a barrier, meaning that like, okay, for instance, to be a producer, technology wasn't at a point like how it is now, where it's very accessible, where people can, I just have a laptop and then make all my beats.
Exactly.
Like you needed gear, and gear cost so much money back then. Like I used to like, a part of the reason why I was using the music lab at KU was because it was like, $1,000 keyboards and all that I could use.
Top-notch stuff.
Right, top-notch stuff, where I didn't ever have to really invest and pay for that.
Exactly.
And for myself back then, especially being fresh out of college, back home trying to figure things out, I didn't have any money. I was waiting tables, so I couldn't afford like a $3,000 piece of gear, then another couple $1,000 rack, and then another couple thousand. So therefore, we had to either go to studios. Right. So you had to have money for studio time. You had to back then. Home studios was something that came along a little bit later.
What was the cost of like trying to get studio time and stuff?
I mean, it was still about the same prices as it is now, but it was. But the thing was is that you absolutely had to do it to create.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or you had to absolutely know someone who was already doing it or had the equipment to create. I would go to Guitar Center and just literally play on the equipment and dream. That I could actually one day be able to afford an MPC or be able to afford, a motif or a Triton. And it was these keyboards that were very popular back then and probably still popular now. But the thing is that I think the barrier to entry was so difficult. So it still kind of minimized the amount of people who were really attempting to do it. So it was still the artist or the artist. Now I did minimize how hard it would be to actually get to like a Nelly. I'm thinking, I'll get back to St. Louis. I'll slap a few hands. Yeah.
He right there.
I'm back in the game, baby. You know what I mean? I get back there, I'm gonna get a beat with him, watch.
Exactly.
And I would say that turned out to be the real journey.
Exactly.
Of like how much time and effort it actually took to actually get into those type of circles.
I feel like even just waiting tables or serving, bartending, doing any of those things, like you could have a dream, but it's almost like you gotta like really love what you do to get to that point. Cause like I already know like doing things like that can take a toll on you. Where like at the end of the day, like the industry, they need you to work. So it's hard to really keep your dream and go. So what made you maintain that drive and focus that you wanted to keep doing it? I always tell everybody like this, as long as I saw myself moving forward, it just kept me kind of motivated, and then I already had took the first leap. I left Kansas. I didn't attempt to go to law school. I mean, I already got accepted too. Like I didn't attempt to actually go, and I think that was my first leap of faith.
But I still had it there. So I was like, oh, I could still go back. So my agreement with them was I'll keep taking classes.
Exactly.
So at that point, I'm taking classes. I'm waiting tables. I'm working probably over 40 hours a week.
Right.
At the time, I had a crazy girlfriend.
We all.
I think everybody can relate to that. Crazy girlfriend.
Shout out to the females.
Yeah, shout out to the females.
Y'all know all crazy.
You guys make it beautiful while a person's pursuing their dream. Trust me. Anyway, so the thing is that I had all of these type of things going on at the same time. So I would literally, and then once I started kind of getting to the point, I meet my production to kind of speed it up. I meet my production partner. We start making a buzz out here.
Right.
I'm at the studio all night. Mm-hmm. And at this point, we're just making anything work how we had to work. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have like the nicest setup, but it worked for what we had to do. He worked the Guitar Center. So me and him had just devised a plan to be able to get things that we need to get. And we got it. And so we were in there working.
Getting out the mud.
And, we got it out the mud. You hear me? And so I would drive out to his house. He actually lived in Illinois, which obviously anybody familiar with the area, Illinois isn't that far, but it is still far, kind of, depending on where in Illinois, right, like where you were driving.
Belleville,
correct. Right
over the bridge for people that
correct, people who don't know. So once we actually started to make a name for ourselves, I was like, literally, I would think I was like sleeping like maybe 1 hour, maybe a day, and I feel like I would blink and then it'd be up again. Now, granted, I was young, so I was okay, but it was just still, that's dead. Anyway, but I would say, but still, that's kind of the thing. And I was like, okay, and I'm starting to see, boom, people are being like, wait a minute, y'all hot. Mm-hmm. It just kept me going. And the little wins, we just kept compounding those little wins, man. And, and then eventually, it led us into the doors that we need to get into. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, music I've heard that it is just such a small window to get into that window. Mm-hmm. But once you get it, you got to take it.
And you got to go.
You have to.
But I feel like it's kind of parallel to most things,
Yeah. Opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I feel it's just music just different a little bit where I feel like they almost want to keep you out. Like they don't want to just let you in, just want to keep you in. I feel like it's almost like it's his own, like, this is the clique, and like, if you get in, it's not luck. I call it like, it's God, but it's also like, somebody and someone sees you, they're going to take you with them because they need you.
100%. Like, I'll speak to that. Music is like, it's a handful of people that really like have it going on. So then it's like this. All right, if we have this industry, right?
Yeah.
You're my friend. Mm-hmm. He's your friend.
Right.
Y'all bring in some other people, then I got a few friends and all of that. And we all in this little circle and we're making money. It's kind of hard to bring so we're here, we're building, we're making all this money, right? And then there's some new dude who's like, hey dude, put me in the game. It's exactly. Like, it's kind of like, who's that? Who is it with you? Or is he with you? You know what I mean? And I think that's where like that click and that level type stuff happens. But I believe that happens even in corporate America. It happens everywhere. You have a few friends or a few groups of individuals who make money together. You don't have to actually be friends, but it just be associates, people who you are actually making money with. Passing business, doing this and this together. It's hard to break into those circles to where it takes sometimes more than just music. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I mean, like, it takes you being able to network, you know what I mean? To build relationships with people, like, because somebody has to stamp you to get you in.
Exactly.
Like, you're absolutely correct. Yeah. Somebody has to be like, yo, him. Now, can you absolutely make yourself so hot over there to where even our little circle has to be like, hey, who is that? Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Exactly.
It just, it's just different ways in, but it all still comes down to, it's a very small industry.
Yeah. And the kind of like being a very small industry and having that window kind of has always been like my thing. Just being from the city, seeing the music, seeing not just the music, just the talent that STL has produced or the potential people have where like, again, you could speak on this better than me. I feel like you felt the rift in the city, especially when like Nelly and Chingy weren't seeing eye to eye.
Right.
Or like where it's like you're one way or the other. And I feel like it kind of took away that like where it could have gone, because if you look at other places like Atlanta or even LA at that, you got your guys, but they're putting people on. They get into the money. They care about the business to where like if people are having problems, it's almost like, let's get to the money first. then we can handle this at another time. St. Louis wasn't really like that. And
yeah, from my vantage point in the business, I would say that I think all of those places have the same problems St. Louis has.
Yes.
I want to preface it by saying that. I really do. I've lived in LA and I lived in Atlanta a long time. So like the thing is that I think that all of these places spent a significant amount of time in New York. All these places kind of have that similar thing going on. There is just the business aspect that I think kind of referees it to a degree, meaning that it's like, if you don't have to 100% be able to, like you can make money with a person and not want to, I don't know, grab a beer with them afterwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. I could show up to a video shoot, do my part and leave. I could shoot my video. I could shoot my part over there. It could be collaborative because you're hot, I'm hot, but you don't got to be my type of person.
Exactly.
To where we don't have to actually commingle.
Right.
I believe in our city. Because it's like it has a lot of small town aspect. Even though it is a big city, it has a lot of small town aspect. Right. We all kind of know each other deeper than a lot, exactly. And because it's not that big of a city, we're easily attainable.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's easy to be like, okay, they hang out over here, or they studio over there, or you know what I'm saying? It's pretty simple.
Exactly.
Now, is it kind of like that in other cities? Yeah. I mean, people know, okay, this is such a studio, but the city's so big, people just not really consumed and caught up on like a person's background and really what they got going on.
Right.
To where I think it allows a lot of people to just kind of just flow who may not even rock with each other for real.
Exactly.
And then you got the business aspect that's there in those cities where, okay, well, if the business aspect's there, a business situation, I think, could mend a lot of stuff between anyone. Really? For the most part. As long as there's nobody's gotten harmed or there's nobody's lost life or lost, any loved ones between some kind of beef or anything, I think most things are squashable. Yeah. You know what I mean? With the conversation and just like, hey, look, this is the situation. Let's say I come in, I'm a third party, I have a business deal. I'm like, look, this deal, you make this amount of money, you make this amount of money, we just need y'all to go do this.
Yeah, and honestly, it's just like kind of like that.
I think we missed that here in St. Louis. There was nobody to do that. Yeah. Where I think we have a plethora of like talented artists, talented writers, talented producers, but it's not that person who isn't, because sometimes the person in the office or the person who's doing the business doesn't harbor the ego that's necessary. I want to say there is a necessary ego that is necessary when you're trying to be great at anything. You know what I'm saying? You got to have some kind of ego too. Yeah.
And I think when it comes to that, where like, I agree with that, but I also see the aspect too, where like the love part of it is also like a real thing. Now, did they know each other before the business started to boom? But like, you don't have enough situations where like, I see somebody like Young Thug was giving Lil Baby money to stay out the street so he can go record. Where like, here, like, I think of guys like, for example, I'm a huge 30D Grimy fan. Yep. I think lyrically...
Free him.
Free him, please. Guys like him, like, some people just got it and they don't. Yeah. And him, when he just touched the mic, like, you listened and, like, you felt what he was saying. Where, like, I wish there was more guys that above him that have been like, bro, get off that. Like, stay in his line. And I'm not saying that he didn't, but I'm also saying it from a standpoint of, like, if they came at a collective and then try to rift each other, who knows what it could have been. And that's guys like LA Foe, him, just talented guys that could have, I think they still have the abilities to go long ways.
They do.
Free LA,
the dude, free him too. I would definitely say this. I know those young brothers well. I know 30 Deep. I work with him. You know what I mean? And I would say that sometimes in this business, and we're seeing it even on a big level. Yes. We're seeing it. Look at what's happening to Vaughn. Let's look at what's going on with Dirk. Let's look at what's happening with NBA YoungBoy. Yeah. Let's look at all these guys. They're either in and out of jail. Yeah. They got situations. They got cases. They on probation. Or they end up dead. Yeah. Or it's just, I believe what we're seeing in front of our eyes is really a culmination of what happens when you make because kind of like you kind of do a deal with the devil yourself, meaning that sometimes you make your bed of nails, you have to lay in it. Exactly. If you get hot by dissing sets and get hot by beef, then your career is going to be personified by that.
Exactly.
You know, and it's going to be, so even when you do try to make, you know, like the record that Dirk had, what was it, like All My Life or whatever it's called? Yeah, like it's too late.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Talk.
It's too late. You know what I'm saying? It's too late. And as sad as that sounds, it's too late, because what happens is that you've kind of already, you've gotten yourself involved in so much stuff and so many things to where, and especially when you start to get to like loss of life, it starts to be things where, man, it's irreparable kind of, you know, especially amongst some individuals, they not going to let it go. Forget a sit down, forget a, hey, yo, kumbaya meeting. If somebody took somebody that somebody else loved, it's a hard negotiating.
That's out the window.
It's hard to negotiate. It's hard to be like, hey, now it's different. A misunderstanding. Like, hey, I heard you said this.
Exactly.
Nah, man, I didn't say that. Or, I thought you was on this. No, I'm not even on that.
Like, I'm chilling.
Way easier to squash than when you start to get into that real street stuff. And a lot of times the street stuff runs deep.
Yes.
You know, deeper than even what we see like on in the music and actually portrayed out.
Yeah.
So I just think a lot of times with those guys, you know, I wish them well. I definitely spent a lot of time with 30, and I could definitely see that there was a lot of like, just kind of like hating that was such a big part of what he had to do to be in the position that he's at.
I guess I still got faith in 30, man.
Man, he got his. I promise y'all. I've heard them. I've recorded a lot of them, and they are sitting and they're waiting. As soon as he's out, y'all will see.
Yeah, wait,
I
free 30, man. We excited for that, man.
Anyway.
On. So, like, kind of touching base on that, what did you see that places like, you say you lived in Atlanta for a long time,
Correct.
so we can talk on that.
Yeah.
What did you see the industry in Atlanta do so well? Because you would look at them still as like, they run it. Like, everybody has their little stunts, but Atlanta's the Mecca.
You know, there's a different culture down there than I would say here. I will speak on this. There are slight differences. I believe there's a little bit of a dose of Southern hospitality. Now, when you go to Atlanta now, it's not like the South. It's like living in a big, you know, metropolitan city. I mean, you have people from everywhere. But the times when I was down there, you still get this dose of the people who are truly from there. There's this Southern thing that goes on with people that's a lot different than the vibe in St. Louis. So where even when I first got there, you know, it was so crazy. It was like, I would be looking at everybody like, wait, so you're trying to help me? For what?
Exactly.
They be like, I'm just saying, you could do this if you want to do that. Or, hey, I'll take you to meet this person.
Right.
I was like, wow, this don't exist in my city.
True love. That's love.
It's true love. Now, are people down there beefing? Yes. So don't get it messed up either. Atlanta's Atlanta too now.
Yeah.
But I do see that there's still an essence of that culture down there that may lead to why a lot of those guys could still work together in certain scenarios, even though they may not really completely rock with each other.
Exactly.
Or I even noticed that even if they don't rock with each other, they stay each other way.
Exactly.
They'll just be like, hey, we over here, you over there, cool.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, we ain't gonna make it none if you ain't gonna make it none. Yeah. And I see a lot of that happen in Atlanta. Yeah. And then plus you got the business aspect, man. You know, Atlanta truly started, bro, with L.A. Reid and Babyface. Yeah. With LaFace Records. They got down there. Jermaine Dupri is the guy who shout out to JD. Shout out So Def. I'm So Def for life. JD is a person who legitimately, like, when at a point in my music career where I needed help, he helped me. He brought me down there and let me kind of be his shadow and produce and be in these rooms and do a lot of cool things. And a lot of the stories I heard was just about L.A. Reid and Baby. They are the ones who set the forward motion thing that happened in Atlanta. Because a lot of people would say that Atlanta was in a worse condition than, you know, people would probably say our city is in before they get there. When they get there, there's no recording studios. There's no nothing. The only recording studio was at L.A. Reid and Babyface house. They had a big mansion and they had a recording studio there. They started LaFace there, obviously. But by having a recording studio, they had an advantage. They got to see all the talent. Yeah. So that's where you get like a Usher. You get all these people. You get all these hot artists. You get TLCs. You get all these cold ass artists. And it's because they had advantage. They literally were the only place you could go in Atlanta. Yeah. JD had to take the Crisscross records and take it to L.A. Reid now to mix it.
Exactly.
Because he was doing all that shit at his mom's house. So it's just, so I would say this: the city was bred upon
I'm glad you're speaking on
the
that
business,
because a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people do not know
the business. It was built on the business. It wasn't just built on talent. There's talent everywhere.
Exactly.
Like I'm gonna tell y'all something. There's something that I think some people missed, and it was an interview on the Breakfast Club, and it was with Smokey Robinson. Man, he was like, "Oh yeah, well, anybody's familiar with Motown? Oh my God, there's Smokey Robinson." He said, "Man, listen, man, the Temptations lit up the street. Aretha Franklin lived 2 streets down. Diana Ross lived around the corner." And Charlamagne said, "Wow, that's just crazy. That's insane." He said, "It's not insane." He said, "Charlamagne, that is everywhere. That is in every city." He said, "They just don't have a Berry Gordy." And let that sink in. That means that he said, without Berry Gordy, he said, I would have started working at General Motors like what all the men did in Detroit at that time. He said, but instead, he put the business down and made it to where we could actually make money being that singer. Because how many people work with somebody where you're like, oh my God, that person sings like an angel. Or this person's so good at this or so good at that. Why are they here? Well, how are they not supposed to be there? They still got to feed their family. They still got to, provide for themselves. So it's like, that's the importance of a L.A. Reid, a Babyface, a Berry Gordy, a JD, all these guys, because what happens is it puts down the structure. And that's the one thing that in St. Louis, what do we have? Top tier artists, top tier producers. That executive still hasn't rose to the cream yet. And I think, it could be right in the works right now. I'm just saying that that's what the city misses, that I think they see this happens in places like LA and New York and Atlanta. The business is there.
Even thinking about Jermaine Dupri just now, like his tree is long. You got Crisscross, Bow Wow, you got just a list of names. Like it's just so many I'm just thinking of right now that just going through that, like, he was definitely like that pillar where, like, even having ties with Nelly, where, like, I remember that, like, especially kind of going back to that early 2000s, like, it was like us or St. Louis. Like,
it was
Atlanta or St. Louis. Like, Luda would be coming up here making music. Jermaine Dupri would be in the city a hellaciously amount of times. Like, it's just one of those things where, like, I really would have wished St. Louis could have went the route that it went. And there are other things that you can get into as to why this, why that happened, but, like, kind of like that business aspect where they put the business first in Atlanta for them to get to where they want to go.
Right.
And that's the most important part about it, where I wish you could see that, like, even with, like, for example, during COVID, Jeezy and Gucci beef go long. Like, Life has been lost in that.
Yes.
They did that versus, they got to the paper because they saw that was the first. They was businessmen first when they did that. And I feel like that really showed me in that moment, even with like Jadakiss, when they did that versus, it's a lot of beef personal things there. They put the money first and they went that first because that's what was the most important thing. They let a lot of that go to the side.
Agreed. To be fair too, you can say that it's happened now. I mean, you see right now just with the AMAs that happened. You had Nelly, you had Chingy, Jaquan, the Lunatics all on one stage.
That was awesome.
So what happens is I just think that over time, man, you get mature. I mean, because you're asking also, let's just talk about the average age of these people when this stuff is going on. They're in their early 20s.
True.
So it's going to take somebody with a little bit more clarity, a little bit more maturity, if you want a mature aspect. Now, there are some young people who are mature. I'm just saying, just in general, if I'm young, I'm rich, I'm famous, it's kind of hard for me to see eye to eye. I might have my ego might be in the way.
You can't tell me nothing.
But I'm going to tell you what happens in life, though. Life has a way of equaling out that playing field to where, later in life, you think about it, it ain't that serious. And if we have an opportunity to get money now, let's get some money together. And that's what you're seeing happen even here in St. Louis. Like, but it's happening with those guys. But it still took a long time. Well, like Gucci was like that when Gucci was out of jail. If Gucci and Jeezy were in the same spot, it was up. You know what I mean? Like a long time ago, back when they were younger. Of course, now that they're at a more mature state, they can honor. Man, they got kids, and it's just at a point, man. It's about money. It's about being successful.
Yes.
It's about once you start to get towards your late 30s, your early 40s, you start thinking about beyond you.
Exactly.
Legacy. What am I going to leave behind? What am I going to be actually like known for? You know what I'm saying? And if it was like over some petty stuff, and for them, theirs wasn't petty, it was deep. Exactly. It ran deep, but still, everything you can honestly say got rectified. One person made a move, that person who made a move got removed, and it's just cool. And we can coexist. I'm not on nothing. I'm not on nothing. We can make money. I ain't gonna say we're gonna ever be friends. I ain't gonna ever say we're gonna ever go get a beer together.
Exactly.
But we could totally go get some money together.
Yeah. And it's cool now to see Nelly and Chingy kind of putting that stuff to the side.
No, yeah, they absolutely they've actually done wonders. I think their relationship is great. I'm glad it's good for them. I think it's good for the city. It's a good example. No matter when it happened, it's still a good situation. What I mean?
So kind of like going back to like a little bit back from the time in Atlanta, what was it like working under Jermaine Dupri? Because he's an interesting one.
JD's a great. So like JD is just, I just learned so much about, I guess, I always, I learned a lot about producing and being a producer by being in the game. And from, obviously I got my start through like Track Boys. I learned a lot from them and learn about track, song structure, things of that nature, right? When I got to JD, it was like more of an advanced course, meaning that you start to learn about how this thing really, how it operates. You see it from every aspect. You see it from the producer, the song creation, the artist, the dealing with the artist, how things kind of all loop together.
Exactly. To
the executives, to the top tier artists.
The hierarchy.
Because you see the hierarchy even in the artists. You'll see like, okay, yeah, you got the new artists, right? You're a new artist, you're hot, but then you got legacy. You got people like Mariah Carey when they come, or you got an Usher, or you got a Jay-Z when he emerges somewhere, and then you see them and you see this hierarchy of like, okay, even amongst the great artists, it's still a hierarchy, and great producers, it's still a hierarchy. You know what I mean? And I got to really witness that at a high level, and then even from that, I got to see even the moves behind the scenes and how things really operate. Because I also was when I first got there, him and Janet were actually together. So even being around that type of like legacy is like crazy for me. Crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like Janet Jackson's like, whoa. Like everybody would come in. I would have prefaced it saying this. Anybody who would be coming to Southside, when I first got down there, I was like, whoa. Like, this is different. I can't believe I'm here.
You went from St. Louis and then kicking it with Janet Jackson. Come on,
man. Or just being in the mix with all these people, man. I mean, that's why I'm so deaf for life.
Yeah. And it sounds like that's really kind of like what you need in that life to kind of like get you to that career where like being home, like that's why I'm always big on like, if you want to leave home, I see nothing wrong with that. Because being home, you put you in a place where you make your platform, you can build your foundation, but also leaving shows you what you can really do with yourself. Right. So it kind of puts you in a place where you're probably a little uncomfortable to leave home a little bit, where like you're in a situation where like you may in your mind, everybody's like, I want to get out of here.
Correct.
But then when you do it, it's like, oh wow, I just left the city. Like even like Lawrence to back home, like that's still close. Like Atlanta's about 8 hours away.
It is.
So it's just kind of being in that situation. Did that really help you kind of like realize like, oh, I can really do this for real? Like
I'm gonna tell you what, but before I got to Atlanta, I knew I could do it because I actually lived in because once St. Louis started kind of cool off a little bit, things started happening here. I actually moved to LA for 2 years.
LA.
And
so LA first.
Yeah, LA first. So when I was in LA, that's what taught me.
Okay. Wow.
See, after LA, I was like, I don't think there's anywhere I cannot live 100%. And survive. Because LA is anybody who's lived there, especially as a person, a creative, man.
So much going on there,
what?
Man.
Yeah, you're going to learn about life.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to learn.
Real quick.
Yeah, real quick, man. So living in LA gave me, I believe, the confidence that I guess it was needed. So then when I went to Atlanta, it wasn't none.
Exactly. Okay.
But LA was it. LA was like the one that was scary because it was so different. Culture shock, different place, far away. You just can't just go home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I can. I mean, a plane ride, but it's just, I was locked in studios. I'm talking about just working and just getting in that scene and that scene out there. It's just a different scene because it's a multitude of scenes. You got that, then you got the movie industry, you got some of the stuff going on out there. Everybody there is trying to get on.
Exactly.
Like everybody. It's like every week it was like a new shipment of people trying to get on.
So even like trying to get on, but your time from LA, Atlanta, all those, how did you kind of, or even when you were in St. Louis, navigate from like who to work with, who not to work with, or like, were you just kind of taking anything when you were first starting to like, even like now, like, how do you even know how you want to move around that?
Well, I guess the try to answer what you're saying, I would say that here it got put clear. I got hot here, so I started working with people who were already on. So then it introduced me to the actual game. Exactly. So then therefore, like now I'm traveling all the time. I'm gaining connects and contacts everywhere. So that when I moved to LA, I already had contacts and connections out there. So I was already like tied in. Now, amongst that and doing business and like, oh my God, is this person a good person? Bad? Man, that was something I had to learn because once I kind of stepped out there on my own in LA, it was like the business wasn't shielded from me anymore. And at that point, you start to learn about business. I tell everybody, if you want to learn about business, open one up. You're going to learn.
Real quick.
Whether it's a good lesson or a bad lesson, they're all lessons. You'll become smarter. You'll become stronger. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that's the realest quote ever. Like, you'll become smarter. You'll become more, intuitive, more, able to kind of see through situations quickly. Quicker to make decisions.
You can't be afraid to fail.
And you can't and do anything. I think anything in life anything, man, it doesn't matter what it is. I chose to be in the entertainment business, which is a difficult business, but and still it works like most businesses or most things or most anything in life. It's like, if you work hard, if you're not afraid to fail, because if you're not afraid to fail, that means you're going to get a lot of experience quick. Exactly. And so you're not overthinking, you're just kind of making things happen. You'll become a high producer, I believe, in anything that you do. Okay. Like, in whatever you pursue in life. Now, I will say that the downside of that is that you do have to be, a guy told me a long time ago when I first started, as being, comfortable being uncomfortable, which is one of the hardest lessons for anyone to learn, because you have to really realize in life that like really what's being comfortable. I mean, if people feel like having a job is comfortable, that's good. That's a good mentality for you to have, but a person can take it from you and then what happens? Exactly. Now you don't have a job. Now you got to figure out the next move, right? Just like anything else. So it's just like there's really nothing safe on this earth because nothing is forever. You know what I mean? Everything's finite here. You know what I'm saying?
Real talk.
So it is what it is. So if you start to kind of put that mentality towards everything, I believe it really nets success in anything you want to do.
Right. So we had your artist Faith Miller on, who I always have everybody check out that episode. Yes. She speaks so highly of you.
I speak highly of her too, by the way. That's my
shout
girl.
Out to Faith again. Like, she is just in a place right now where, like, even when we would like try to give her a compliment on something, she brought it back to you. And I feel that energy that, like, you're her producer, you do a lot for her, but she feels protected and safe. Like, it's a family vibe with it. Like,
Correct.
How do you think for her and everything that she's accomplishing, she does feel that way with you?
I just think, it's a difficult business for women to navigate, in general, and I think with her, it was a situation where she was going through, it's a double thing because I always tell her she helped me just as much as she helped, and vice versa. It's because I was in a pivotal point because at the time when I first meet her, I just lost my father. And when I lost my father, I was like in this weird space, headspace. And so I remember I reached out to her just to see, but at that point I could care less about music, artistry, music, any of that stuff. And she was coming out of a situation where she was, trying to rebuild, but kind of on a pivotal fence of like, am I going to keep doing music or am I just going to kind of,
she want to do country
just kind of pursue? Yeah, she was just going to just not do music.
Exactly.
So then when we linked up, it was like on a thing where, at first I think about everything like on a business level at this point in my career and it's this part of my life where I'm just like, okay, well, if you can do it, you can do it. I'm gonna put y'all together, y'all do it. Y'all bring it to me, I'll make the play, we'll get some money, but y'all just keep working.
Exactly.
But what happened was I couldn't put together what was happening with her. So she had no producer at the point. So I was like, okay, well, I'll produce you. Let's just do it. She showed me some solidarity. It was a situation where she could have totally threw me under the bus, like on a like a non-committal like way of me, and like I guess to make it to not speak so crazy, it's just that another person was trying to poach her, but she was 100% transparent with me.
Yeah.
And it was during a time when my father died, so everybody knew I was kind of out of commission.
Yeah.
So then he was trying to attack me at a weak point, but she was very open, and I just really met the girl. She didn't owe me that.
Right.
So when I saw that kind of integrity from her, it made me be like, you know what? I got you. So anything that you need, I got you. I'm going to help you. I'm making a concerted effort. I'm going to help you get to where you want to go.
She kind of brought up that life a little bit.
Yep. And so then when we started locking in, I was like, that's what we're going to do. I don't care. I'll produce it. Let's just do it. I mean, I am a producer.
Thank you.
It's just that, it's just that at the end of the day, if I can kind of make things simpler, if you're already working with a producer, that's cool too.
It's just crazy even with her. Like, you see that drive and hunger to always want to get better.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't go away with her.
Her work ethic is like, I think it's unmatched. I haven't seen anybody, man, I tell her all the time, a lot of my job with her isn't to keep her motivated. It's to keep her from overworking. Yeah. She's one of those people. Oh, yeah. Like, if you're a coach and you're like, all right, look, it's kind of like how Deion Sanders treats Travis Hunter, kind of. You know what I mean? Speaking about modern sports. Exactly. It's like, yo, I know Travis gonna work hard. He gonna be ready. I don't gotta be on him. You know what I mean? Everybody now the other players, you gotta be on a little bit harder. Exactly. But with her, I don't gotta be on her like that. I know she's gonna always be prepared. I know she's always gonna work hard. Like, yes, you still gotta coach them, you still gotta guide them, you still gotta be there for them. You gotta still produce on your side of the ball. But I know she's always gonna produce on hers. Right. And that's the part where it makes my job relatively easy. Right. Yeah.
And kind of just to kind of touch base a little bit about it being very difficult for women to kind of find their place in the music industry. Yeah. Why do you think is that with that? Because I feel like right now, especially, women running the game right now. Especially like the rap game.
No, they 100% running rap.
Like, if you look at the charts, like, you see Sexy, Lotto, Glow, like, they're running, like, it's not just like some regular, like, oh, cool. So, like, they're hits and they doing numbers.
Totally. They are. They're having to run. Now, to navigate in this business, it can be, they are running the things on charts. But it can also be a hard game to navigate just because there is a lot of boys club energy.
Yeah. Real talk. I get through that.
If you guys know, it's locker room shit. So it's like, for a woman to step into that environment, it can be, if they used to, I mean, look, some girls can handle it. Yeah. Some girls can't, but that's just what it is. And that's where the navigation just becomes a little bit difficult. Yeah. Just not to fall for pitfalls and all that type of stuff. And to stand on yours and demand your respect and to get it.
Yeah. It's just crazy because it's just like, just hearing you talk about music, what it was like then, it's just thinking of just life now. It's just so different.
It is.
Like, even you speaking on like just trying to get studio time, guys getting out the mud. Well, I'm not saying guys aren't working as hard now, but like you guys had to do that almost just to get a song on a radio or an 100%. Album. Where like SoundCloud changed it to where now you can just upload a little song, throw it on,
correct,
and it'll just get a million hits like nowhere. Like Juice WRLD and what Chance the Rapper did.
Correct. I think that what you see is this. Okay, I'm a big believer in nothing changes under the sun. Okay, yes, technology has changed the way we do stuff, but I'm still a big believer in still word of mouth. If you're hot, even back then, it still took. Okay, it's a thing called momentum. All right, so like if I hear this person and they got something, I'm like, damn, man, no, y'all gotta check dude out. Dude got this record, this fire, or this girl, man, this song crazy.
Oh yeah.
The same thing happens even though maybe the process as far as the accessibility of the music is easier. You don't have to go to a record store anymore. You don't gotta go buy a CD. Exactly. You don't gotta, you know what I mean? You don't have to do all that. It's instant to your phone. But yet and still, because of that, there's so much content. Exactly. So because there's so much content, it still helps to know that, like, right now, if you just tell me, like, hey, yo, bro, have you ever heard of this one artist? And I'd be like, no. And then you, like, check them out. Boom, I can just look them up on my phone. Exactly. Boom, but guess what? That's still word of mouth.
Exactly.
Connected. Same thing that's still connected back then. I just don't think it's that different. I think the way we digest the music is different. Yeah. I think before, because of how, like, I guess how hard the process was to get it to that point and actually in the hand of the consumer.
Exactly.
It made the consumer hold on to it more.
Yeah. It's like I go on TikTok now, you see in comments where someone does a video, it'll be like 30 comments like, what's this song?
Right.
And then out of nowhere, that song just blows up.
Absolutely.
And then you find out that song has been out for like 5-10 years.
100%.
Like it's like, it's insane.
They're actually rebirthing a lot of songs that were old hits.
Yes.
Just because this generation just hadn't really paid attention or heard it. That's
Exactly.
it. So it's just like, look, man, that's just a circle of life. But I mean, but honestly, that was the same thing when you go back to like when we first started producing, or when guys, even predecessors of myself, it was all sample based.
Yeah.
That's what the samples was coming from, music that already existed.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? It just kind of, I think everything kind of works in a circle. I think every market is cyclical. Now I could be wrong by that, but from what I've seen in my lifespan, I'm not. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
From stock markets to businesses, everything kind of runs in cycles and circles. You know what I mean? And clothing.
Exactly.
Fashion. I mean, it goes from yo, man, why your pants so skinny? Get made fun of. Then it goes to skinny. Then it goes to wait a minute, why your pants so skinny? You know what? It's just like, man, come on, man.
It's a different vibe. And it's crazy. With like kind of talking about like what Faith is like, she's in a good place where it helps to be marketable. Where like you listen to her sound, I get old R&B vibes.
Yes.
But then you look at like her videos, the things she talks about in her music, it's like she can touch in that new kind of like era that's kind of evolving.
Yeah, because she's in that wave.
Yeah.
You know, she's young. She in that wave. So it's like, you know, our nickname for her, she young and turned. You know what I'm saying? So she in the mix. So, you know, for her, it's going to be easy. That's why I allow her so much just creative direction, because it's just like she knows she's in it. You know what I'm saying? So she knows what it is. Now, obviously, I bring the musical, but then other different parts of the game, but I let her just kind of roam free because I know she's in tune. I'll be a fool to think that I know what the youth want more than somebody who's actually youthful.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
That's real talk.
That's asinine. You let them go, you let them be them. And that I'm just here to assist and to help her develop in any way possible.
Yeah. And it helps her brand, because I feel like nowadays you live in a society where brand's always been a thing, but it's more important than everything today.
Right.
Like your brand is what sells you, is what's going to market you, what's going to help you get to the levels that you want to. Like your music can be great. Agreed. But if your brand's not strong, like, and I'm just going to say this now, like, and I'm not saying this brand isn't strong, but like Smino, for example. Correct. I'm a huge fan of Smino. I am too. Shout out to Smino. Shout out to Smino. Yeah. But like, I want to see with his brand how he can elevate to other things. Like I feel like he already has his niche of like people that already follow him regardless, but where he can go to other places to get to that. Honestly, that place that he deserves to be at. Right. I know he needs to be at.
Right. No, I agree. He's a big artist. You know, I think that, you know, it's crazy as it sounds. I think it's just within him. Yeah. What he wants to do, how he gonna do it. Exactly. You know, I mean, he does have a fan base. He's already achieved a lot in his career. It's just about what he wants to do to kind of either amplify it or just keep riding. Because if he kept riding, he still is having a great career. Exactly. Either way it goes, it's his choice.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's kind of like one of the things. So like, it sounds like obviously you were such a huge impact on her. Kind of talk about like your relationship with Metro a little bit.
Metro, shout out to Metro.
Shout out to Metro.
Like Metro is you know, he was a brother of mine. He still is a brother of mine. Like he was a person when I first got back from Atlanta. I had a deal, and we were working with. Make the long story short, I get back here. I have a conversation with JD. I'm like, hey man, all this stuff I'm learning, all these great stuff, I'm gonna go do it back in my city now. Exactly. He's like, well, I would love for you to stay, but I do understand what you got to do if you really want to go do that. Because clearly I can never be a Jermaine Dupri if I'm underneath Jermaine Dupri. Exactly. You know what I mean? So you have to kind of go walk your journey, right? Now I'm back, wealth of experience, wealth of knowledge, all of that good stuff. But then I'm working on some artists. I just get a studio. It's it's the Main Street in St. Charles, and I get a studio. Me and my production partner, we're deck it out, kind of make it like our own version of the way JD Studio is. JD Studio is like fun. I wanted to make mine fun, like have things even outside of music there, and that's what we were able to accomplish. And so at a time we're moving around. We get a almost situation with Capitol. I allowed JD to kind of come in on it. It got shot down. Long story, it just didn't work. Right. So when JD was like, "Well, listen, another situation comes along, you know, I'm gonna we'll make up for it, right?" Yeah. So obviously it was a guy here named Fresco Kane. Well, he was Jenna back then, but it's Fresco Kane. That was a situation where he pushed us together, did a deal at Epic.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So we were the producer. So he gets dropped off in my studio. So then boom, he's there. Then shortly after that, it's this kid from who was everybody's like, yo, no, he's hot and all this stuff. I never forget the very first time he came in my studio talking about Metro. He comes in my studio. And this is, look, I've been producing a long time by this point, but he comes in and it was like they were on some new age stuff, meaning that like he had his crew with him, had his friends with him, they were filming him, they were boom, boom. It was like a whole production. Exactly. And it was like, man, they are on to something. Like this is the new, and I kept telling everybody, this is the new era, this is the new wave. Exactly. You have to capture everything. You got to do this. This is the new, and it was like everything like that. He was just there. And then the way his style from even how he was able to even be cool with us. Yeah, I forget he was in high school because he was so cool. Because I mean, literally, it would be times to be at my studio until like 5 a.m. and he'd be like, "Hey, yo, Ash, yeah, dog, I got to dip, bro. I got to go to high school tomorrow." And I'm like, bro, I forget you still in high school. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But he carried himself. How old
was he around this time, man?
Probably like 17, 18. I mean, high school age. He was senior high school. And so, and by this time, mind you, he had already had placements with like French Montana. He had already had some stuff going on. Right. But he was still a high school kid. And so, so I'm like, man, so I never forget it. We throw him his going away party. And he's just like, yo, it's cool. I said, absolutely, bro. You do anything you want.
Like when he's going to Atlanta?
Yep, because he's about to go to Morehouse. He got sent to Morehouse. Well, she's a very smart guy as well as a great producer. So
shout out to Morehouse.
Yeah. So he gets the thing, and I mean literally, I pull up and I'm like, wait, what is going on here? What is going on? And like my studio was about 8,000 square feet. And I mean every inch of it was filled.
Oh man.
And it was all ages, all nationalities, all everything. And I'm like, and they all here from Metro. I said, how popular is this kid? And then he was like, yo, Ash, it's cool if I DJ my own party. I said, yeah. He was up there DJing. And I remember he jumped up, he ripped the flag down that we had hanging up, ripped it, wrapped himself in it. No, it was like it was some like in the raft. He rips it down, wraps himself in it, jumps in the crowd, and I'm just like, oh, dude, a star. Forget just being a producer. He's a star. Now, did I know I would be lying to you to be like, oh yeah, I knew he was going to be what he became, but I knew he was out of here. Right. For that moment, I knew he's out. When he talked to the end of that night, I said, man, you're going to go to Atlanta, and you're out of here. And he would hit me up. He'd be like, bro, like, nah, bro, I could barely go to class, bro. Like I'm in the studio all the time. And then he comes back. I have a buddy who had to remind me of the story. He's like, we were at your studio. It was like around Thanksgiving breakish time. He comes in town. He's like, yo, you're at the studio. I said, yeah, come on. And so he comes back and he let us hear Karate Chop. And I sat at my desk listening to it. And he was like, man, I got better beats than this shit, but bro, like the label finna push it. He said the label finna push it though, bro. And I'm like, I said, bro, this is like Alien, bro. I'm like, you are out of here. And I never forget it. Fast forward, I'm in Atlanta for some shit with JD. It's like some kind of award ceremony. And I was like, hey, I'll take you to lunch or whatever. Every car I would ride by, that Karate Chop was just going up. And then it gets to the point where I'm like, every club we went to, playing that back to back, I said, bro, you are out of here.
That song was fire,
said,
man.
Dog, it's going
still
crazy.
Fire.
He said it's going crazy down here. And from that point, it just, he never looked back.
That's how you got to be, though. You can't look back.
No, I'm just saying he was just gone. Yeah, like, so therefore, it's just, everything that I always try to tell people, sometimes everything that you are, you already are. Exactly. You just haven't gotten to the main stage yet. Yeah. Everything that he is right now, he was like that back then.
Exactly. And just kind of like you even touching that he's just like a smart guy, like in general, like just some of the business that he's been doing now, where like he's marketing himself as an artist. Correct. But he don't even rap or anything. Correct. Or any of his music.
But the thing is that the thing about him was even when he was at our studio, his swag was always like an artist. Yeah. He wasn't like most times producers can be kind of like, kind of forgettable or whatever, He was never like that. He was like an artist. Like he had this way. He looked like a rapper. So he was at the studio. He looked like a rapper. Like he had fresh gear on, fresh kicks on, fresh everything on. Not the chains he got now, but chains on, you know. But he was just doing this thing. He had it. He just had it. He just had it. He just got that. He just not a rapper per se, but he is like a rapper.
So when you look at artists, especially with guys that may want to work with you, do you look for that star capability, or is that something that you can teach somebody?
You can't teach it.
Can't teach
it. So I've tried.
You gotta have it.
You gotta have it. I think there's different calibers of an artist that you can be.
Right.
If you're trying to be a superstar, you can't teach it. If you're just trying to be a good artist and get some hits off and all of that, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Right. But to be one of these brands of the people that we talk about all the time, nah, bro, that's in you.
You gotta have it, or you don't.
It's just in you.
I mean, it's kind of like what we talked about when we were here for like hours. You even mentioned something about like these guys, like we love an artist that just don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
basically,
correct.
And that's just kind of like when I started to think about it, I'm like, that is so true. Like
we don't pay for normal, man.
Yeah, we don't.
Nah, like because if I was gonna, why would I come buy your merch and buy your thing if my neighbor is just like you?
Real talk.
It has to be something that makes you stand out. Standing out is everything in life, man. Like, I mean, I think that's in everything. I think marketing 101, it's the things that sometimes make us cringe.
True.
Be like, damn, why I do this? That might actually be the thing that might make you blow because people might be talking about. Because look, man, I tell everybody, there are a few things you want in this world. You either want to be, I always explain to people, you either want to be really good looking or really ugly.
Yeah.
You either want to be really stylish or absolutely no style. I'm just trying to say, you just want to be something on an extreme so then when you walk in a room, people say something. I always tell everybody, even when you judge a song, man, listen, if you heard the worst rap song ever on the way here, you might have came in as a conversational piece, been like, yo, Ash, have you ever heard this song? It might be the worst shit I ever heard. Boom, they just won. Now you just market it to me because now what I'm finna go do, listen to it, and what I'm finna go do, tell some more people. Now you heard a really great song. Yep. Ash, you heard this really great song. Like, it was amazing, da-da-da. I'm like, damn, well, check it out. Boom, this is a great song. Boom, I'm gonna tell somebody.
Okay.
Now, if you just heard some okay, mediocre song that blends in, you're not gonna say nothing about it. You just gonna walk in here.
Yeah, not even thinking anything.
Not gonna think about it. It's not even a conversational piece. No. So then therefore, whoever put that shit out, they lost.
Yeah.
How you win in this game is by standing out on some, and people don't understand. Love, hate, same thing. Beauty, ugliness, same thing. It's the same paradigm because it gets attention. Yeah. All you want is attention. Pay attention. Right? That is the name of this world because that shit is worth more than money because what happens is it will make you money. If you have everybody's attention, trust me, anybody who has everybody's attention, they're not hurting for money.
The one person that you just saying all that is making me think of one person, that's Post Malone. Where
yes.
Like you hear his voice, you're gonna be like, he don't look how he sounds.
No.
But then you see him, then it's like, but I like him though.
I like him.
You love him.
Well, you like Post, and Post makes really good songs.
He does.
I mean, I just tell people, like, you just gotta be on some kind of like spectrum here. You gotta be, look, even if you make bad songs, man, stand on that shit.
Yeah.
You might fuck around and blow.
That's true.
I'm being honest, because to say that, you have to make great songs to make it in the music business, I'd be lying to everybody.
Exactly. Because there's some stuff out here.
Some stuff out here. And the messed up part is we know that stuff because we've all talked about it.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's where TikTok comes into a huge play too, where like it could be some songs that maybe I don't like, you don't like, but just it being on TikTok, people be like, oh, that's catchy though. I'm gonna rock with that. I'm gonna still do it. Like,
that's catchy. I mean, I tell people, man, look, there's a formula to this shit, but then the formula about actually capturing an audience is always standing out. There's too much shit going on in the world. So you have to, we're all vying for people's attention in a certain amount of time. There's only a certain amount of time, it's only 24 hours in a day.
Yeah. That's true.
So how can I keep people captivated as much as I possibly can? That's why, literally, if we want to even touch on the Kendrick and Drake thing, guess what? It kept us all captivated so much to where nobody dropped music because everybody was scared to, because they had everybody's attention.
Yeah.
So if I was some new artist or I was a artist that's even known, why in the fuck would I drop an album during that time?
True.
Everybody paying attention to the ping pong match was going on.
Yeah.
So really, they ruined the summer. I mean, if y'all wanted to hear some new jams from everybody over the summer. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because they completely dominated it with the narrative.
Yeah. Do you think that could ever blow over between those two?
Blow over how?
Like, kind of like what we talked about
people
earlier.
Will probably forget about it, yeah.
I mean, from the standpoint of like, maybe they don't want to have a beer with each other, but they'll get to the money together.
Totally. Yeah. I don't think. my thing is this: I don't think anybody's done anything to either party that really warrants a forever. I'm never talking to that person.
Yeah.
Or never having anything to do with that person. I think they could totally piece it up.
Yeah. It's just so many.
Hey, yo, Kendrick, bring him out at halftime.
I mean, even with that beat, hey, you heard it. But it's even like
you heard it first.
You did. But it's just so many layers to that. Like Drake really went 20v1 in that whole situation where like you could talk about the Kendrick situation, but then it's like him and Metro, him and Future. Him and Nas.
He went against the whole music business and all the powerful players in the music business.
It's just
it's rough, man.
It is rough, and honestly,
but I'm like, I personally, you know, this is an unpopular thing. I'm like, I mean, you gotta respect Drake for this.
You do.
He stood in there and fought.
He did. Look, he did fight.
Hey, it's like a person getting jumped, and the person in that mother's fighting the best they can. Now the people who jump you are going to win, right?
Oh yeah.
But if a person in there scrapping though with the people who jumping them, you gotta respect the dude getting jumped.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. Family Matters hurt a couple feelings. I'm not even gonna lie.
Man, listen, you gotta respect the man. You gotta respect the man getting jumped, whether you love him, like his music, or a fan of him, or maybe you have switched sides or whatever. You gotta respect his effort.
Heck yeah.
You have to. Like, I mean, just as a man, you have to be like, man, he didn't step down either. Mm-hmm. Some people would have been like, oh, I ain't on that. You know what I mean? He stood in there and fought them off.
Have you seen something like this in the industry before? Or is this something that has never been done before? Like 20v1, like everybody's basically.
Yeah, I ain't never seen nothing like it. That's where it kind of leads. And I don't really know the specifics, but I can kind of see where he's kind of looking deeper because he's just like, this just has never happened. Exactly. I mean, you could have a problem with a dude or a few guys, but not everybody at the same time, and then have everybody all at the same time in coordination come at you.
No, exactly.
Seems weird.
It do, and honestly, it's just kind of for me where like I look at it as that like his numbers are still doing it. Like no one's taking over like what he's doing. Like he's the longest reigning I think I've ever seen. Like 2009 to now, and he's still top 5 in the charts.
Like I say, I don't think we've ever seen anything like it.
I haven't.
Yeah,
I haven't.
My old music. I literally it's been literally something that should be studied. Because I was like, man, I've never seen somebody that long be on top of anything.
It is.
It's a long time. And
it's like kind of one of those things even too where like I'm selfish where like I want to see him in Future especially make up because that's some damn good music that was dropping. Especially with Metro producing for them. Like, come on, like What a Time to Be Alive. That's a classic.
Correct.
You can't take that away from anybody or whatever. Now, could they ever get through that? Like that's on them. Like obviously like we don't know, but like things like that is almost like you could think you could put your differences to a side to get to where you need to go.
I agree. I mean, I you know, it's going to be all up to the individuals involved. They piece it up or not. But, you know, either way it goes, they've all had, I mean, legendary careers. Exactly. Everybody involved. 100%. Everybody involved. So it's just like, you know, whatever, you know.
Yeah. So kind of like, just kind of for legendary careers, what do you see next for you now?
Right now, obviously Faith.
Obviously.
I think Faith is the building of the next legendary career around here. There are a few more projects I have in the works, artists that I will come back and we can definitely do a part 2 of this, and I'll be able to kind of big up. And
we appreciate that.
And also, obviously you guys will be my first people now. I'm just gonna go straight to y'all.
That's love, man. That's love.
But the thing is that I will say that I would say also have a venture going on here in St. Louis, which is kind of like a way of us kind of giving back. You know what I mean? Kind of putting that business thing that I was saying that's been kind of missing here, that infrastructure here. I have a new facility. Obviously, we're in a room at the new facility, one of the rooms, but
Creative Labs.
It's called Creative Labs, and what it does is that, you know, it's a membership type thing. It's a creative ecosystem for creatives, whether you are, you know what, you can be a member here even if you're not a creative, if you just need a place to work that just has a vibe. But either way it goes, the place is well equipped for podcasting, well equipped for music production, photography. Every room comes with its own vibe, a nice place. I keep all the vibes there to where you're getting like a very much co-op workspace, but I would say a creative co-op workspace to where we all kind of share, but it also has built a nice little ecosystem of great photographers, great videographers, great podcasters, great artists, great producers, everything, and a place for them to kind of get it out. Streamers, live streamers, gamers, we have gaming rooms, we have everything. So definitely look us up. We're at Creative Labs, Westport.
What made you want to do that? Kind of get into like this type of like entity?
Because it kind of plays into what I really want to do. And my ultimate goal is kind of like what we just discussed about, like how what Barry Gordy did for Detroit. I want to do the same thing here in St. Louis and open it up, but I'll just play the business, you know, create the ecosystem, the environment for artists to thrive, develop, and get out of here. You know what I mean?
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
To where you don't got to leave.
And honestly, we appreciate that, man, because especially where like I really wanted to do something because I saw that vision before we even had that conversation. Where like I'm really big on giving back to the city.
Correct.
And I'm really big on that because kind of like how we kind of talked about a little bit the beefs. Like I'm just gonna call spade a spade. St. Louis is very cliquey.
I agree.
And I feel like people can blow up, but people not gonna really give out. It's just like they leave and you fend for yourself. Like yeah, I did it, but I'm here, you're there. And like I don't rock with that. Like any people that I could really help.
It happens because sometimes our city can make it difficult.
Yes.
When these people are trying to get out of here. So then it kind of builds resentment. And through that resentment, it turns into a thing where once they make it, they're like, I'm here.
Exactly.
Forget all you guys.
And they may not say it, but it feels that way.
It feels that way. But you know, I think a lot of it is also too, I would say, predicated on the fact of what I just said. A lot of people that have made it big out of here, what are they really? They're creators. They're usually the talent. They're usually the front person. So, you know, the person who is the star, it's always difficult because it takes so much for you to maintain your stardom, for you to build other stars. You're going to still need somebody else who's kind of like on the outside looking in to help develop the next star coming behind you.
Real talk.
Now, you could use your powers once you got some more things lined up and combine forces to get somebody some energy, of course.
Yeah.
But I can always tell everyone, you know, I think a great thing to always realize in life is things have to make sense to both parties, okay? In anything in life, you know what I mean? If you really want to make a true business deal happen, it has to make sense for both parties. Both parties should be getting something out of the situation. Agreed. So as a new artist, just make yourself so hot to where people have to deal with you.
Exactly.
They're going to come deal with you because they're going to need you.
100%.
And just like you may need them just a little bit. It's just like how what Drake does with like a new emerging artist and he hop on their shit. Yeah, dude, it turns that person into a superstar, but then it also keeps Drake, what? Relevant. So both people got what? Something out of the deal. So just always keep it there. Now, of course, it would be great if somebody just out of the goodness of their heart being like, hey, this person's talented, let me pull them up.
Exactly.
That's great. But, you know, for the most part, if you just want to just keep it to straight business, then yeah, you just got to make yourself that. You make yourself that, things will come to you.
I agree. And I feel like kind of with that too is just like to see you kind of want to give back to the city to get to that point is awesome because even like just coming here in the Maryland Heights area, you just see how much this area is changing.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
It just reminds me just how much potential is really in this city. The good things could happen in the city. What could go through this city? Like a recession could happen any given day or night.
Absolutely.
Like, you saw it in Kansas City. Kansas City is not what Kansas City was, heck, 10 years ago.
I know.
So to see it now, like, it's just crazy what little things like this could really do. So we appreciate that, especially being from the city, man. Shout out.
And I just look forward to seeing like everyone and the careers and the things and the dreams that we may come true here. Because I'm telling you, that's what we about to do. So
well, Faith is coming. She coming.
Oh, she coming. Hey, like Dion said, hey, we coming. So.
Oh yeah, we coming.
Yep, get y'all popcorn.
Kind of like on that though, like dealing with like artists. How do you navigate that situation where obviously you've been in the industry a long time, so you have people, but then there's people under you that say, "Hey, I want to work with this person." How do you navigate those conversations a little bit?
I just tell them what's up. Like, you know, I mean, look, things got to make sense in this business. It's just like business deals. So like, look, it's nothing for me to reach out and connect people, but it still has to make sense on both parties. You can't get your feelings hurt if they don't got time.
Exactly. That's really what comes.
Yeah, I know a lot of famous people. That don't mean they gonna work with you.
Exactly.
But, you know, sometimes all you need is just a cosign. Sometimes all you need is just somebody to be like, if you're brought up in a meeting, be like, oh, you know, I heard of them. They going. Mm-hmm. They going where I'm at. Sometimes I just do it. Sometimes that's better than a beat. That's better than a, you know what I mean?
No, that's
so
real,
it's just like to me, it's just like, you know, however a person can help, I'm always going to share what I'm doing with my friends that are in different positions, but there's no pressure. If they want to help, they'll help. If they don't see a situation or something that makes sense for them at the time, it's fine too.
Yeah.
And that's not going to stop what we're doing.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those situations like when it's time for them to see you, they'll see it.
They're going to see it. You can't help but see it. You know?
That's real.
Yeah.
That's real. That's real, man. But no, we love everything that you're doing, man. And honestly, like, I was really excited to do this sit down with you because you're doing a lot for the city. You've done a lot for the city. And honestly, like, just showing how much Faith spoke of you. Yeah. It was just one of those situations where we're like, awesome. Yeah, the best. And it was just, I knew it felt good to, like, I wanted to have this sit down. Like, I appreciate it. The knowledge you have, the experience you've been through, like, you just giving back to the whole, like, just having, like, conversation that we had 2 days ago, it instilled a lot of empowerment in us to keep going to what we're doing. So we appreciate that a lot. We appreciate you that, man.
I appreciate you guys, man. You guys got something, keep going. Obviously, any assistance I could be, I'm here for y'all. So,
we appreciate that, man. Especially, like, kind of like you said, like, we love the gritty work with it. Like, we having fun with it, and little things every single day, we're just trying to get better. So, like, again, like, just knowing that, like, you even thought that this could be something good for us, we appreciate it.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Heck yeah. But looks like we're done here. We appreciate everybody tuning in today, man. But thanks. I'm good.
Peace.
Heck yeah.